Hello, my name is Kevin Caputo. I've been involved with the Salesforce user group since the beginning in 2007. And in this presentation, I'm going to be covering two topics. The first topic is tips around working around the limitations of the standard event object. And the second topic will be reviewing the Ownbackup Seeding tool, which I use to bring in production data into a sandbox. So the use case on the first presentation is the government relationship group at Korea holds yearly meetings with the members of parliament and the realtor agents in the members' riding. And the goal is to track these meetings in Salesforce along with other types of information, who attended the meetings, any meeting reports that have been generated, plus the standard activities such as emails, calls, tasks. So design considerations, limitations, and workarounds. So I could choose to use the standard event object, or I could have created a custom object for capturing the meeting details. In this particular case, I decided to use the standard event object and try to work around the limitations. So some of the limitations I ran into were, should I be using the name field, or which is the Who ID field, or should I create a custom object to capture the people that are relating to the event? So I chose in this particular case to go with a custom object, which I created called event attendees, which basically tracks who attended the meeting, plus some other information that the members of government relationship team wanted to see on the screen, such as the members writing, their primary board, if it was a real estate agent, the organization account information, and a number of other fields they want to see. One of the limitations we run into with using the event object, the standard event object, is you can't, if I'm in the event attendee object and I'm trying to link it to the event, I'm trying to do a lookup field and link it to the event object, it won't let you do that. And I'll show you that in a few seconds. So to get around that limitation, I use the screen flow to show the event attendees on the event screen. And then I use some formula fields to link from the event attendee records. I created some formula fields so that I could link back to the contact record for the members, and also a second formula to link to the event record itself. The other design consideration was, should I use the standard attendee field in the event object, or use a custom object to capture the people who we invited to the meeting and what the status was? In this particular situation, I decided I wasn't going to capture that type of information. Basically, they were more concerned about who attended. They didn't care about who they invited, and to track that. Anyways, so let me go now into Salesforce, and the rest of the slides that I'm going to show here, I've used them more so that if you're listening to this presentation and you wanted to see the details, you can look at the PowerPoint slide deck and you can see the details. So let me start by pushing this over to right here. Okay. And so, as I mentioned in this thing, is that this is the event object itself. And in the Lightning page for the event object, I show the details about the event. So the meeting of the meetings, or the subject of the meeting, and the type of event it is, the start date and location, and so on and so forth. The standard fields that you would normally see in event record. And for the event attendees, this is the screen field, screen flow that I used to show who attended the meeting. And here you can see I have a link to the member that attended the meeting. So you can see the member of parliament, and these are a number of real estate agents. And this is just a link to take me to the event attendee record. And the rest of these fields are just information that the users wanted to see. So this is the riding, the MPs, and these, for the real estate agent, is their primary board that they're associated with and the company they work for. And then there's a relationship field. Okay, so what I wanted to show here is, I'm just gonna push this down a little. So one of the limitations I was mentioning is if I wanted to create from the event attendee, I want to create a lookup relationship field. So I come in relationships, create a new new field, and I choose the lookup field, and I click on next, and then I look for the event object. And you can see here that when I get down to the E's, that there is no event object. There's event attendees, there's event old, which is an old custom object that somebody built a number of years ago, way before my time. But there is no event objects. So that's one thing I wanted to show. Okay. So let me just go back to the slide deck for a second. Okay, so I talked about the screen flow, and I talked about how I created a link to the member record, and I created a link to the event attendee. And I'll show you that in the screen and the presentation. Okay, we talked about that. Okay, so let me go into the formulas, and then I'll go into the screen flow. So let me go back to Salesforce. So here is the first formula field that I created. And this is my event attendee link, which the formula I'm using here is just a hyperlink that's, in this particular case, I'm linking to my sandbox. When I move into production, I have to change it to my production environment. And I'm just linking it to the ID, and I'm using the name is the field that the users will see. And the other formula field that I created was the member link. And in the member link here, I used the hyperlink plus the case safe ID. And I basically taken the member ID, making it the case safe ID, which is the CRE, sorry, not the CRE ID, the ID of the ID field of the record, whether it's 16 or 18 characters, and then I'm hyperlinking it to the member name. And I'll show you that in a few minutes. In the slide deck, though, I do want to point out that just push this off to the side, that I put a hyperlink to some Salesforce user to YouTube videos if you want to look up these um, formula fields or formulas. Okay, so let me go to the next thing, which is the flows. Let me just drag this back into here and get to the flow part. So what I've done is I created a screen flow. So here's my screen flow right here. I'll just walk through it. Only take a few seconds here to walk through the screen flow. Very simple screen flow. The first thing I do is I get on the event attendee records. So I basically saying that the Salesforce object, I want to read the event attendee records where the record ID is equal to the record ID. The event ID is equal to the record ID that I'm passing it to. And I'm collecting all records that have that match. And then the next thing I do, which is relatively simple, is I want to assign the different fields that I want to show on the screen flow. And the way I do that is if I click over here on this table part and I go under configure columns, here's I can identify which columns I want to see, and you can define as many columns as you want by just adding another column if you want to add more. And I'm just going to go through two of them. I'll go through the event link and the event attendee link. So if I put the pencil here, you can see that the source field is event, a member link C_C, and I chose to give it the title member instead of name. And I use the wrap text function, and I'll just with that. Whoops. Let's go there again. And if I go configure here and I want to look at this one. So this is taking me back to the event attendee record itself. And so over here, this is the source field, the link I wanted to, or the label I wanted to show, the EA link is event attendee link. I want to keep it short and sweet. And I chose to use the clipped text. And that's about it for the screen flow. Let me go back to the slide deck for a second to see if there's anything I missed. Okay, now I go to the lightning page. Okay, so on the lightning page, so what I've done here is there's a flow, and I just drag the flow over to this section right here. And I identify the screen flow I'm using, so I have the event attendee, and I'm passing in the record ID for this particular event. And that's it for the screen flow. It's a very simple thing. It doesn't show you the format. Unfortunately, it'd be nice to show that, but that's all the different steps that have to be done to make this all work. So the next topic I wanted to talk about is, and I'll just go to the slide deck for a second and go down one screen. Okay, so the Ownbackup Seeding tool. So as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm using this tool basically to copy in production data into a sandbox. And for those who've done this before, you typically go into I'm drawing a blank. What's it called? Data loader, or the data loader IO tool, and you basically copy your data, and it's quite involved steps to do it. It usually takes a couple 1 to 2 hours. I can do this with this Ownbackup Seeding tool. I can do this in a matter of 5 minutes. So the steps to do it, let me just walk you through that. So bring this back in here. Actually, I'm gonna show you, first of all, I used a different sandbox for this. So I just created a demo sandbox called KC demo. And you can see if I go into the organizations and I say all orgs, all these basically all accounts. You can see there's only one account record for this org. And if I go to members and I go to all members, you can see there's just one record, which is my own record. So you know the data is not there. So now let me go into the seeding tool and let me walk you through that exercise. So in the seeding tool, the first thing you need to do if you have Ownbackup is come over to the seeding tab over here. I found out that this is something you have to purchase. It's on top of the price. The pricing for it, I'm not 100% sure, but it's very minimal compared to the value you get out of it. And it's well worth the expense if you do a lot of stuff in sandboxes. So anyway, so I've created a number of seeding tools, but in this particular case, I created one already, and I just called it the government accounts with MPs. And if I go into it, I have a route. I want to grab the account records and I want to create the contact records. And in this particular case, if I go to the filter, I can say, I want to filter all accounts that the CREA ID is equal to MPA01, which is, in this particular case, it's the House of Commons. And so I'm only going to be selecting one record. But the neat thing is over here, I can now say, okay, I want to grab all the contacts for the House of Commons. So if I come over to this section right here and I look at the filter, I'm basically just saying, I want to limit to 400 records. There's only 335 active members of parliament. But I want to make sure that the status on the contact records is equal to active. In other words, I don't want to pick up an old member of parliament who's no longer elected. And basically, that's it for the selective of the records. And then I come over here to the seeding and I choose, okay, I want to go from the production environment and I just want to be very careful that I don't pick the wrong one. Let's just drag this down. There it is. Okay. This is the one I want to grab, the KC demo. And once it selects all the records, I can go and review the records. And then once I review the records, make sure this is what I want, then I just click on the seeding button right there. And within a minute or so, I get an email saying your records are there, and it works. That all the records get pushed over. I don't know why it's taking time right now, but anyways, it's trying to think, doing something. And then let me switch back to my PowerPoint slide for a second and see if there's anything else I want to talk about. This one slide, that's one slide. Yeah, and that's about it. I'll just go back quickly to see if it's if it's working or not. And yeah, it's ready to go now. So I'll just click on seed. And you can see it's pending, and within probably 30 seconds to a minute and a half, the data will be in my sandbox environment. There.